Hello guys, welcome to the Hub Lab. Today my name is Babatunde Arolo, and today we're going to be talking about finding the total amount given a percentage of a partial amount. Okay, so this is another example, right? Based on the previous example that we both worked on. So this is another example, right? So you can pause and kind of test the knowledge if you want to, right? But you can also follow me along the way, or you can skip ahead to wherever you may find problems in, right? So in this type of question, right, what I want to do is I want to be aware of what I'm working with first before I engage in anything. But I want to proofread the questions carefully so I'll understand what they mean. Right. So let's do that. Let's look at the questions first. So this question says a book sold 33,800 copies in its first month of release, right? So in the first month the book got released, it sold 33,800 copies, right? And then the next sentence says, suppose this represents 8.8% of the number of copies sold to date. How many copies have been sold to date? Okay, so they're saying this 33,800 copies is 8.8% of the total amount of copies that are being sold. So maybe let's say there are 5 million copies, right? 8.8% of 5 million is the amount of books that were sold at the first month. Right? So in this case, we know 33,800 copies were sold at its first month. Right? So 8.8% of the total amount of copies should be equals to 33,800 copies, right? Because 8.8% is the amount of copies sold at the first month. And we know 33,800 copies were sold that first month. So we can use this question to kind of find the total amount of books that are sold until date. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Let's start solving it. So first off, I want to set what I'm looking for as a variable. So I just set x equals to total number of copies. Okay. So what I want to do, the first step is I already understood the question, right? So now to implement that understanding into working out this question. Okay, so it says suppose this represents 8.8 of the number of copies sold to date, right? So 8.8 so date. Let me just put this up real quick. My bad. So 8.8% of the total number of copies sold to date. So off is basically what. So whenever I see off of something, let's say I have 50% of um of 500 plates. Off basically means a multiplication, right? So off, whenever I see off, is kind of working with rates and multiplication. So whenever I see off like this, just want to multiply. Just that's a tip, right? But you have to understand the question that you're using it for, because sometimes it gets a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So 8.8% of the total number of copies sold to date, which is X, equals 33,800, right? 33,800. Okay, so we have to find these total numbers of copies sold to date. So to do that, we have to evaluate everything and set x alone in one side of the equation. Okay, so in this type of question, luckily we get a calculator to help us out. Okay, so first off, what I want to do is I want to work with this part of the equation first before I can change it, if I can take it to this part, right? So this is basically saying 8.8 divided by 100, which is 0.088, right? So this is 0.088 times x equals 33,800, right? And so we're looking for x. Remember, we're looking for x. So we have to take anything that's accompanying x and we've got to put it to the other side, right? So in this case, we can't just take x. We can't just take 0.088 and minus it here, right? Because we're multiplying in this case. So this is the same thing as saying 0.088x equals 33,800. right? And so we have to remove 0.088 from this part of the equation. And so to do that, we have to divide both sides by 0.088 because because 0.088 is accompanying x by multiplying, right? Which is this dot that's over here. Dot basically means multiply. So when we divide that, that is 0.088, then divided by 0.088. Okay, so when we divide 0.088 x divided by 0.088, that leaves us with x, right? This is x equals, so now we have to find 33,800 divided by 0.088. That's 33,800 divided by 0.088. So this is 384,090.90. It doesn't really matter. 90, right? And so we're asked to round our answer to the nearest whole number. So what a whole number basically means are, a whole numbers means the numbers before this point here, before the decimal point. So we're asked to round our answer to the nearest whole number. So that means we're gonna have to round this, which is the last value digit here before the number. Okay, so in order to do this, you're gonna ask yourself now, because right now we're looking at the numbers behind the dots, which is this 9 and 0 for this instance. So we're gonna ask ourselves, is the number before the dot greater than 5? So the number after the dot, sorry, the number after the dot in this case is 9, right? So we know the number after the dot is 9, and 9 is greater than 5, right? So that means if the number is greater than 5, we can add 1 to this number before the point. But if it's not, we're just going to leave it as it is, right? But if it's not, we're just going to leave it as it is and then just put 0 behind. Okay, so let's say we have 5.3, right? 3 is smaller than 5, right? So in this case, we can't add 1 here, basically. So we're just going to leave it as it is. To round to the next whole number, we'll just say 5.0. Right, so we remove 3 and replace it with 0. That's the same thing we're doing here. But in this case, 9 is greater than 5. So replace 90 with 0 and add 1 to the number before the point. Okay, so this is x equals 384,091. Okay, so let's check that out. There's 384,091 copies. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much for watching the video, and I really hope it helped out, and yeah, hope you have a really exciting day ahead. Bye.